Well, here you go, the Richard Armitage interview, part 2. So what do you think of the whole social networking thing? Twitter, Facebook, I mean, there's 1,000 Facebook pages dedicated just to you.
I got left behind. I really got left behind.
You don't tweet, you don't Facebook, you don't do any of that.
We're talking about maybe tweeting at some point, or Twitter. By the time I get around to it, though, it will have been
tweeting.
It will be all over. I mean, I'm still thinking about MySpace, and everyone's like, MySpace, that's just gone.
That's so 1992.
It's so 92. I don't know. I might do. My worry is that I'll get drunk and start, being political
that's
or
what we
trying
hope
to be
for.
funny.
Absolutely.
Who wants to know what my opinion of anything is? I mean,
I think the fandom likes it when they feel like they have some sort of, I don't know, connection or access to their favorite artists.
The way I see it, I always feel like it's, if I were a painter and I painted a picture, would I stand in front of it going, right, here's the picture that I painted? Do you know what I mean? I feel like I want just the picture to be seen.
Exactly.
And you don't really want to see how it's painted. Maybe
Right.
you do. I don't know.
I don't know.
But you certainly don't want someone standing in front of it giving it this.
Exactly. It can be intrusive, right? Benedict Cumberbatch talked about some neighbor actually tweeting his every move. Now he's going into the bathroom, now he's reading TV Guide, now he's having
Benedict, though. I mean,
fish and chips.
He's
so persnickety, my God.
I don't think people would be that interested in my movements.
Okay, so let's go back to your childhood. Well, not that far, but Richard, when you were born, tell us, release yourself. I want you to cry like Barbara Walters gets everybody to cry.
Does she?
Yeah, haven't you watched? So cry. I did it. So what? You come from a non-performing family, right?
Yes, I did.
So what inspired you? What propelled you into performing arts?
That's a really good question.
Was there something that inspired you?
I think I used to do tap dancing classes because a lot of the kids that I played with in the street went to a class, so I ended up in that area of work. But at 4 years old, it's not really work, is it? And then I found myself wanting to branch into theatre. So I went to a vocational school and I trained in musical theatre and worked in that side of the industry for a while.
Right.
But I'd always been a big reader, and I was somebody that read quite intensely on my own. Tolkien was one of those books that inspired me to sort of fire up my imagination. And I was just always into literature, and I studied Shakespeare for my A-levels and went to the Royal Shakespeare Company to see plays, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So finally, at the age of 19, I went to a drama school. You, Mr. Armitage, went to Budapest and joined a circus. Yeah. Because there were no other opportunities to earn your equity card? I did. The fans are going to kill you. This is one of those questions. Sorry. Listen, for the 2 people out there that don't know you did this. Yeah, it was a short job. It was, I think, maybe 4 months. I was throwing hula hoops, working with jugglers. Were you a flying Wallenda? Doing a bit of this, a bit of mime. Kind of like a trapeze artist? Yeah. But I got an equity card. That's awesome. Alongside lots of commercials castings where I remember one in particular where they gave me it was for some kind of drink, and they gave me a watermelon and cut a hole in it and said, okay, snog the melon. So I had to kiss the melon. And then sort of left the casting, and there's like a whole room full of guys. I remember walking out thinking there was only one melon in that room. Right, and you're all kissing the same melon. Sticking our tongue in this hole in a melon. That's just not. Oh, okay. You know what? That's showbiz. It was, snog the melon. I would have given you 10 equity cards to see that. I would have taken 10 melons and 10 guys. That would have been fine. Okay, so look, you got your equity card in hand. Brilliant, brilliant. And you end up in the West End doing musical theater. Yes. And Cats was amongst them. Yes.
and you played Macavity.
I did,
Which
yes.
I absolutely love. You know, there's a YouTube video out there, and somebody sat like, you know, in the last row of the balcony and got like a shot of you, so it's grainy and blurry and everything.
I don't think it's me.
Oh, what? Don't tell them that.
I don't think it's me. I mean, I've got to be honest with you guys.
It's not you.
There's a million. There were a million people. Well, not a million. There's a lot of people all playing the same roles over the years.
Right.
And even in the show, there were 5 people that played Macavity because he appears in. You know, they do this magic thing where he appears.
I don't think this clip is of you as Macavity. I think you're, you know, like cat number 24 from the left. I don't know.
I don't think I'm in that at all, if I'm honest.
Darn. Okay.
Sorry.
So, Cats. I must have seen it a dozen times.
It was of the 80s, wasn't it?
What the heck is that show? What is that show about?
Well, good question, but it is, you know, being the literary fanatic that I was, it was based on T.S. Eliot's great poetry, and I still go back to the poetry. You know, if you look at that song that was such a massive hit, Memory, which isn't in the book of Practical Cats, it's not part of that, it's part of
Andrew
a different...
Lloyd didn't write the book.
He didn't write the lyrics to that, but that was that's from a different poem, and I think it's The Wasteland. But the lyrics to the lyrics to the song, but the poetry in those lines are extraordinary. And I think it was one of those experiments whereby someone took the poetry, and Gillian Lynne had a fantastic idea to create a show based around, you know, the physicality of animals through dance, and it created this show that stayed for years. I actually think the same thing is happening in motion capture now. You know, if you look at motion capture performances, it's using human beings to replicate animals. Look at Planet of the Apes, you know, the new Apes movies. It's a similar kind of thing. Yeah. That's something that I'd be really interested in looking into. I was really keen to go and work at Lecoq in Paris after I'd finished in Cats. And Gillian Lynne was one of the people that suggested I do that, but actually ended up going.
What did she do?
She just was helping me out and giving me some advice, and I think she'd trained there for a while. So, but when I was at Lambda, I worked with an amazing movement director who sadly died now, called Christian Daly, who was Lecoq based, and that was the direction I really wanted to go into, which was physical theatre. So, I still have a desire to do that.
Interesting. I love that. So you've obviously moved to the States, and you're located in New York, not sunshiny LA. That's okay.
Yes,
We're not offended.
Wintry, snowy New York.
So have you moved to New York because you want to pursue Broadway, or are you just open to television, film, anything that comes your way?
Yeah, there's nothing that I don't say yes to. I say yes to everything.
Clearly, you're here with the Anglophile channel.
We're here.
Apparently he says yes to everything.
But, yes.
And we love you for it.
Yes,
Thank you
that's
so
the
much.
word. I think obviously the work is kind of gathering speed in the film industry, but at the same time I don't want to deny myself the opportunity to do theatre. So New York for me means that I could perhaps work on stage in New York and also back in London, which is a strong possibility.
The thing that I love about British actors, you know, is that their artistry is rooted in theater, you know, and you don't see a lot of that maybe in TV stars or film stars. Don't email me, you know. With British actors, your artistry really begins in the theater, so you're theater trained, and it shows. To me, it shows up on the screen, and I love that you can be a major film star and they still go back and do a play like Sir Ian McKellen.
Yeah, I mean, and I think with Ian, it's where the root of his you know, heart is, his artistic heart. It does mean that we, I guess, have a focus on the text in a way that perhaps other actors don't. But I don't know. I only know the world of acting through the way I approach it and the route that I come through, which is primarily physical and then literary. So that's how I build a character. And also without a script, I find it very difficult to work without a script. I have to use either a book or a real person, in order to do that.
Interesting. One fan had written something about what is your process in terms of creating a background for your character. So if the script doesn't feed you the information that you need, do you in your imagination then create the history for your
yes,
character.
and it's also, I think when it's unlimited, it becomes much more difficult. The more restrictions you have, the more walls you have, and the smaller the world, it actually is easier to fill it. So that's why I like working from a book, because the book begins and it ends, and it's, you know, your character begins and ends in the book, unless it's lots of books on the same character. But I write stuff, and I use photographs and music as well, because I think music, artwork, if you listen to a piece of music, you can probably remember where you were when you listen to it, and
memories.
It's Proustian. It brings back everything, you know. So I use that a lot.
It does, absolutely. So you did Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South.
I did.
Okay,
yes.
we're going to talk about North and South. Come on.
Yeah.
Where you out-Darcy'd Colin Firth. Can I just say that? It's sacrilegious, I know. But you did.
Thornton didn't get wet, did he?
No, you know what? We missed the wet shirt scene. Where was that? Can we do that now? Does anybody have a water bottle? How much would you fans pay to see this man in a wet shirt? So overnight you become this instant what? Okay, it's not the fans, it's me. What do you expect from me? So overnight you become this instant heartthrob, you know, and you know, what did you think of that? And do you like doing those sort of romantic, you know, leading men type?
It's so interesting how it was received to how it felt from the inside, because I actually saw the guy as somebody who was kind of terrible in what he did until the end of the piece. He was so kind of stifled and restricted in his world and blinkered in his views. But I suppose the unraveling of that character is something that was appealing. But I remember hearing about the casting for that and driving down to my local bookshop very late, just before it closed, and grabbing the last copy and reading the little blurb on the back, and just knowing that I had to play it. I hadn't even read the book, and I just read the little thing, and I just thought, I can do this, I can totally do this. But convincing them to cast me was really quite a challenge.
Really?
Yeah.
What had you done up until then? You know, was
not a great deal, actually. I'd done a bit of daytime television. I'd done guest roles in things, but it took a lot. It took bravery in the casting department to cast me. But you know, those roles come to you in that way. I mean, in a way, Thorin came to me in a similar way.
Let's ask one or two more. Okay, this is from Elisa Cato, administrator of Richard Armitage, is majesty, kindness, and perfection.
Did you just say His Majesty?
Yeah, that's the name of the the name of the
sorry.
Facebook page. That's a lot to live up
this is
to.
all getting it. Okay.
If do you like Jane Austen, and if so, which of Jane Austen's characters would you like to play, gentlemen?
I do. We went through a period at drama school of studying Jane Austen, and I was moonlighting one Christmas in Panto in Bognor Regis to earn money so that I could go back to drama school the next year. And I read all of Jane Austen's novels in the dressing room. I was playing Genie of the Lamp, so I wasn't on stage very often. And then we went back and we did excerpts from I think we did Pride and Prejudice, weirdly enough. It was I was Darcy. We were doing one of those funny Jane Austen-y dances where you have to walk and talk at the same time. That was our challenge for that term, walk and talk. But yeah, I love Northanger Abbey. I think that's the Gothic, the Gothic one. I liked that, the darkness in that story. But she manages to capture humour in a way that I think some of the other writers of that period don't quite get.
And what I love about her too is that despite the fact that she never married, she wrote men so well.
Well, often they're written as perhaps two-dimensional, aspirational characters. I think Gaskell's the same. Gaskell really got inside the mind of a man of that period. You know, not just the male mind, but the male mind of that period. And yeah, Jane Austen does the same.
You know what? Marcia Killingsworth, who runs Richard Armitage US fan page. Okay, she says you've just done Into the Storm. That's your next project that will be coming out later this year. And you do an American accent.
I do.
And Marcia would like to know.
You're not going to ask me to do it.
Would you do it?
You find yourself in an acting situation where you are genuinely panicked and terrified.
Hi, Richard. We're here in Spain, in Coruña, northwest of Galicia, and we're here to celebrate that you won the Anglophile Channel Award 2013, British Artist of the Year, and we love you in Spain so much, and actually we love you with passion! Yay! celebrate.
False start, false start.
All right.
Go packing cheats.